You're tuned in to the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast.
Welcome back to the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast, where we are building connections, showcasing the impressive and inspiring movers and makers. I'm your host, Lenore, and if you want to live 10 years longer, be 3 times more creative and happier, perform 30% better, and sell 37% more, keep listening. I know I'm not alone when I say this, but sometimes I feel stressed, burnt out, even overwhelmed these days, and don't even get me started on the never-ending to-do list. But today is the day it's all going to change for the both of us. We're going to learn how we can achieve health, balance, and peace, and ultimately how to thrive in chaos. So 2020 Cybersecurity Woman of the Year nominee, Jothi Dugar, who's also the Chaos Guru, joins us to share her tips and tricks on how you can use the power of chaos to become a more powerful leader who can take on anything. Her 12-step module comprehensive program will make you break through years of old habits, and I can't wait to hear all about it. So Jothi, welcome to the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm just really glad to be here today. I'm really honored.
Now, you call yourself the Chaos Guru. So how do you help people? Who do you help? Is it only businesses? Can I call you? Can you be on my speed dial? Got so many questions.
Yeah, the Chaos Guru. So I help people manage their chaos, but I'm also a big proponent of bringing in the chaos as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about which types of chaos there are. There are actually different types of chaos. And in fact, I am a strong believer that without the chaos, it would really prevent us from growing ourselves, innovating, creation. Everything good that's happening in our life comes through chaos. Because otherwise we'll be living in comfort zone and not really give us an opportunity to move beyond that. And I help individuals as well as corporate customers as well. So for leadership, executives and their teams that are really forward thinkers, and they are looking for transformation. Everything starts from you or from within. So if they're looking for a transformation from within themselves, that they can then also help their teams transform and help their organizations transform. And I also have individual programs as well. So if you're not in corporate, or if you're in corporate and just looking for individual transformation, I do offer that as well.
So I love how you said that you bring the chaos in sometimes. And I do agree with you. Like the chaos kind of, for me, in my opinion, you can tell me if I'm wrong because you're the expert, I'm just the chatter. I think that it pushes you to be a little bit more challenged and to be a better you. So can you tell us the differences in chaos, like the good, the bad, and everything in between?
Yep. So when I was going through my journey, multiple journeys, but my journey of life, and there's multiple scenes in that journey, what I started recognizing was that there's different types of chaos. So I'm not saying we have to invite in all types of chaos. And I was really trying to figure what are the different types then? So just to keep it simple, because I believe in simplicity, even when life seems complicated, it's really the simple things that are your true answers, not this over-complicated type of answer. So okay, let's keep it simple. We'll just call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the ugly chaos is the type that we tend to bring on to ourselves without really recognizing it. So this is the type of chaos that you really hope that somebody else solves for you. Oh, this other person's really annoying me, so I wish that other person will change so that I don't feel the chaos. Or the situation is really annoying me or frustrating me or angers me, so I wish the situation will change so that I feel better. And how has that worked for you with that type of mindset? I'm guessing it probably hasn't worked very well.
No.
So when we start to realize that we are the ones that are adding that additional chaos to ourselves, we start to realize the power is within us to release that ugly chaos from our lives. And it sounds really complicated or time consuming, and it can be. But what I really specialize in is 2-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute techniques that you can actually do throughout your day. And it's what you do most that counts anyway, which a lot of people don't realize. So being in this ugly chaos state mode 23 hours a day, and then you take 1 hour in the day to go do a meditation or a yoga session or an exercise, and you feel like, hey, I did this, so I must be a changed person now. But what happens when you get into that chaotic state, or with that family member that, needs a lot of work, in your opinion or in your mind, or you get back into that chaotic situation? Does that 1 hour really help you transform in the moment?
Probably
Most
not.
of the time it doesn't, because the 23 hours in the day you're still in the ugly chaos, and the 1 hour that you're not, it's really hard to kind of marry those sides. So what's really worked in my own life through my own journey, healthcare journeys, as well as even traumatic situations, is to find things you can do throughout your day, so that your body, your mind, your energetic system starts getting used to it. And it's not just a one-time thing. And then the more your body and your system gets used to it, the more it's going to start doing that and not resorting to the ugly chaos. So the good about the ugly chaos is that there's so many different techniques and modalities and things we can do to release that from our systems.
Can you give us the 2-minute technique? I heard you said 2, 5, and what was the last one? 7?
I try to keep it 5 or less. So anywhere like 1 to 5 minutes, because anything more than 5 minutes, your brain tends to get sabotaged. Like, how long is this taking? When is it going to work? And I have another meeting I need to get to, and I'm in the bathroom and I only have 5 minutes, so, trust me on that. I only speak for things that have worked for me. And I thought the same way before as well. So I try to keep it 5 minutes or less. No one can argue that they don't have 5 minutes. If they do, then you need to do a better job.
Right. Like if you could spend 10 minutes in the shower, maybe you can cut 5 minutes off of that and just sit in the bathroom for the additional 5 minutes that you're pretending to be in the shower, and actually use those techniques.
And actually, that's a great point you brought up. So these techniques you can use anywhere, anytime. So you don't need to look for that quiet space in your house, shut all the doors, make sure your kids are, have something else going on. You don't need to wait for that. So you can do this with your kids. You can do this in a meeting. You can do it in the shower. You can do it in the bathroom. So it's like quick and fast techniques that you can actually integrate into your lifestyle. So you feel that you're not actually having to spend time on it. You're embodying these tools within your workday or within your day.
Can you give us an example of a technique, or is this like top secret? I got to call you on the down low with nobody else to hear type of secret?
If I tell you, I'd have to kill you.
Oh, just as I thought we were becoming friends, you come in with that one.
All my work with defense and the intel agencies have got me,
all there.
No, sure. Yeah. So the absolute fan favorite so far has been what I call the peace fingers, which is a great technique you can teach your kids as well, just outside of the moment. So you always want to practice these outside of any moment when you are calm, so that when you're in the moment, you can quickly get to it without thinking too much. So it's called peace fingers. So basically all you do, you just tap your pointer finger to your thumb.
Okay.
And then you release that. Then your middle finger, release that. And then your ring finger, and then your pinky. And then you just keep going like that in a rhythmic fashion. And ideally, what you want to do is whatever is going on, all the chaos in your mind, try to release those and then just concentrate on the feeling between the fingers. So I know all of these monkey brain thoughts are becoming like, oh, what about this? What about that? What are my to-do list? Try to just acknowledge them and then release them, and then just focus on, what is the feeling I'm getting in between my fingers? The physical feeling. And then as you start feeling that, you might also start noticing that something else is going on in your body. Maybe there's some energy flow that's happening in your head. or maybe in your neck, maybe in your chest. And if you feel like you still need a lot of work in kind of releasing thoughts, then you can use a mantra. Basically, it says something like, peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Or whatever you feel like you need in that moment, like calm begins with me. Or if you're feeling like there's some struggles with the relationship, you can say love begins with me. Whatever the situation is, you can kind of change your wording. And what that does, it changes the neuroscience and the neurowiring in your head and your brain space as well. So there's meridian points that run through all of your fingers and nerves. So just by kind of tapping it, it's similar to EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. So it basically stimulates the parts of the body that are connected to your fingers. So some of your fingers are connected to your heart, some of them are connected to your brain, some of them are connected to like your solar plexus area, your stomach area. So just by tapping them, it kind of just gives them a boost. I'm like, oh, it was kind of feeling lethargic or imbalanced. This starts kind of creating that balance. And then by saying the mantra in your mind, it actually connects that positive feeling with your brain, and your brain now knows, oh, okay, I was looking to the external world to help solve my internal world. But in reality, it's your internal world that's creating the external world. So by kind of saying mantras like love begins with me, peace begins with me, you're kind of training your brain and your body at the same time to realize that, oh, all of these feelings began within you. It's not like if I tell you, oh, Lenore, I want you to feel really sad right now.
You had me calm, okay? You had me calm at first. Now you want me from calm to sad?
Right?
Oh,
so,
okay.
Like, unless I do some sort of hypnosis, or, you're probably not going to just immediately jump to being sad. But then, so now you understand, like, oh, but so I can't just make you feel sad. But if I, start calling you names and throw a whole bunch of insults, then you're going to basically say, hey, you caused me to feel bad about myself. Or
you're a meanie.
Right? So it takes, once you practice this, then you can kind of jump to this quickly and like, oh, wait, my feelings began within me. So somebody can say whatever they want, but I am the one that's, making myself feel bad about it, or unworthy, or unloved, or invaluable.
So we have to go back, because I think I completely cut you off. We were just on ugly chaos. We didn't even make it to good chaos, did we? No, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the ugly chaos is where most people need
help,
a lot of support, because it is the chaos that you really don't want to think about, and when you don't or be aware of, and when you try to push something away, it's just going to come back, hairier, nastier, and uglier. So this is where we spend most of the time, is to teach people not just techniques, but it's true transformation. Because when I was going through my journey, there's tons and tons of programs out there. There's tons of therapists, there's tons of wellness specialists. So there's YouTube, there's Google these days. So information is not something that we're actually seeking anymore, because it's just, there's tons and tons of information that you can get, but information doesn't really transform you. So I wanted it to specialize in techniques that will actually, or a program where you can feel the true transformation from within you. It's not just a whole bunch of like information, like do this, and kind of leave you to it. So this is like, I think 4 weeks is spent on the ugly chaos to help you learn to release it for yourself.
That's a lot of weeks.
It's a week, yes. It's a 9-week program, because transformation takes time. And I know in the Western Hemisphere, there's there's this mentality where we want quick fixes, which is why a lot of the holistic natural wellness practices don't really get the attention that they need, because it takes time. And plus people are only seeking help once a week, let's say. And then there's a lot of stuff for them to do. Oh, you got to find this calm space. You got to first of all, take 20 minutes to get into that mental space, and then take like a half an hour meditation. And then it's going to take you 20 minutes to get out of this, it's like, wow, I don't have time for that. So what I really specialize in is, okay, just doing this like for 2 minutes. If you do this for 2 minutes straight, even if you don't say the mantra, it'll automatically start working within your body. And then if you do that throughout the day, like I would recommend at least once every hour, then you automatically start kind of getting into this flow state. And when you're in alignment with your own flow state, things just start happening a lot easier. Like maybe a conversation that you thought was going to go really rough, when you're in your flow state, you don't let it affect you as much. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I see your point. And what I like about your point is blah, blah, blah. And maybe we could also do, it's like, you don't let it be like, what? Like, that's such a stupid point.
So Jothi, how do you incorporate those techniques into your everyday life? So with your jobs, because you are the Chief Information Security Officer at the National Institute of Health, you run a dance company, like you dance yourself, you got 3 kids. How do you incorporate all of that?
So it's exactly how I do it, is like try to incorporate it throughout my day. So like when I'm brushing my teeth, I have some techniques. When I'm in the middle of a meeting, I have some techniques. If I'm actually there's a disagreement, I need like a quick in the moment technique that I can remind myself of how to kind of remain in my flow state. Then I use a technique for that. So it's almost like, there's like a series of like different tools and techniques, but these are all like quick things you can do in the moment. Then that's what kind of keeps you going. Because if it's like a really long process, you're not going to do it. It's going to take too much time. And as you said, in my life, like I don't have time for this. And it's great when you can actually teach something, call it a name, a simple tool, because your brain doesn't like remembering some really long, name for something. So if you're like, oh, peace fingers, like, oh yeah, peace fingers. Oh yeah. What was that? Okay, it was that. And it's easy to teach others. So especially if you have kids, once you teach this technique and then, spend some time teaching it and then allow them the time to figure and realize how they feel while they're doing it. And the best part is it's so quick that they can feel the results quickly too. So then in the moment when you see them having tantrums or they're asking for something and you're not willing to give them, you can just kind of remind them like, hey, remember the peace fingers? Like try that first. And then they're like, oh, and then like, okay. First they're like, no, I don't want to do it. Like, well, until you do that, when you do that is when we'll have the conversation again.
Yeah, right.
So once they do that, like, it's almost like they forget like what they're originally asking for. And then they're like, yeah, so, what was it that I wanted? I'm like, yeah, see, it doesn't sound that important anymore, right?
Yeah, definitely not.
So the bad chaos, I digress, sorry. The bad chaos is the type, what I call the riptide chaos. So the ugly chaos is what I coined as the tsunami chaos, because there's like a trigger and then you act a little funny, like the ocean acts a little funny after that trigger. And then it just comes like, like dashing across, like killing everything like in its path. And that's kind of how we act sometimes. There's a trigger. The trigger relates to something within us that we haven't resolved yet. And then we act a little moody or grouchy. And then if there's more and more triggers that are coming in our path, we're like, oh, okay, that's it. And we just kind of like take it out on someone or something. The ugly chaos, the bad chaos is what I call the riptide chaos. So this is, if you think of a riptide, it's kind of like this, it's invisible, right? You can't really see a riptide, but you can feel the riptide when you're in it because it's either kind of pulling you down or it's pushing you like far out into the ocean. So you can't really know it's there until you're surrounded by it. You put yourself into it. But then you can truly feel all of this, there's a riptide that's happening. There's something that's happening that's pulling you down or pushing you out. So it's a little it's slightly more complicated, but once you know it's happening, it's quick fixes that you can do to release that. So something like energy profiling. So just the colors of the clothes you wear, your hairstyles, the type of makeup, all of that can actually affect your energy. If you're surrounding yourself with clothes that are really not meant for your energy type, it's actually bringing down your energy without you realizing it. And another example would be like Feng Shui. So
my parents have instilled Feng Shui in my life since I was born. I got things on my keys. Jothi, let me tell you, the fish tank has to look a certain way. I'm not allowed to have a mirror here. The north, the west, the compasses. I got you. I feel you.
There you go. So you've already gotten yourself a head start, and look where you are now, right?
Thriving.
Yeah. So you don't realize, like, it sounds, when your parents tell you something, I know when I try to tell my kids something, like, oh my gosh, like all of this stuff, mom, doesn't make a difference. I'm like, well, why do you think your violin classes aren't really going too well right now? Like,
you should be listening.
Okay. And it makes such a huge difference, especially people that come and have like relationship issues. But then like right smack in the middle of their bedroom, they have this picture of the beautiful desert with like one tree. And they're like, oh, it's such a beautiful picture. I'm like, but the energy that you're getting from it is like a loneliness. And it's in the middle your bedroom, of
nowhere.
Right? It's like a desert. So how does a desert make you feel? And then it's like one tree.
It's the sand, Jothi. It's the sand. There's water in the cactus.
So it's like quick fixes. Like just try it. Just try changing the picture with like a picture of like lovebirds or two boats or something would have like two in them, like not more than two. Because you have to be very careful. Because some people are like, oh yeah, we put pictures of our kids in the bedroom. Like, do you want your kids in the bedroom?
Maybe
no,
not.
like because your brain doesn't know the difference between a picture and reality. So if you put a picture of somebody had like a tiger, beautiful picture of a tiger that was staring like right at them from their bedroom, and then they had all of these panic attacks and anxiety and a lot of fear. I'm like, you have a picture of a tiger that's staring at you in your bedroom.
What are you talking about?
Imagine that tiger is actually physically there. And they're like, well, but it's not. It's the picture. I'm like, well, your brain doesn't know the difference. So it's looking at this picture as the last thing you look at when you're going to bed, and then you're going to sleep. So your brain basically thinks like, oh, that tiger is in your room. So just simple things like that. So it's a little complicated in you realizing all of these factors yourself, unless you have a coach or that's actually telling you like, oh, look at all these different factors. So we can, but the best part of bad chaos is you can easily get rid of it. It's like, oh, just change that picture. Let's, work on your clothes and, let you know the different type of clothes that's best for your energy type. There's Ayurvedic body types as well, like the food that's meant for your body, the type of exercise that's meant for you. So quick fixes, but it can have like a massive impact. And then we get to the good chaos, which is the chaos invite in, which is, so what I call the good chaos is like the surfer feeling, a surfer like riding those waves. If you just imagine yourself as a surfer, how are you feeling? You're probably feeling like really excited, and you have like a lot of adrenaline pumping energy going on, and you're just having fun with it. And you can see the shore, and you can see the waves coming, and you want to like get right in front of those waves and ride those waves. And there's also a little sense of like fear or nervousness or anxiety as well. So it's not that you have no fears, because you don't really know what's going to happen, right? You don't know if the wave's going to, you
crash.
Underestimated the wave, it's going to, crash, or maybe you slip off your surfboard and then you end up crashing, or you don't really know exactly what's going to happen, but you see the goal, which is getting to the shore by riding the waves. And you're not letting these anxiety or fear or nervousness stop you from doing that. And then once you do that, it just opens up doors for you or opportunities, right? So another example would be like if you're afraid of public speaking. But here you have this amazing opportunity to give a TED talk. Maybe you applied for it, you didn't think you were going to get it, and then you get this letter like, oh, you've been accepted. So what is the type of feeling? You're like, oh my gosh, this is great, this is awesome. But I'm a little like nervous now. I don't even know what I want to talk about, and then a lot of people tend to like backtrack. They're like, oh, maybe we should just like not pick it. Just the fact that we got in is okay. But that's the good chaos. Like, oh, you've resolved the ugly, you kind of worked with the bad, and then now this is like amazing things are coming to you, but there's still a sense of fear because you don't know if that's you're good enough for that, or you're maybe worthy, but that is what you want to invite in.
So I do have to say, I think you're an incredible role model, not just for like, getting your life together, because I think you helped me get my life together in the last like 20 minutes right now, let me just tell you, but for women as a whole, because you've been helping women, especially in technology over the years, really try to get the jobs and persevere. And even before we got on the Zoom call, you're like, do you want to join? I'm like, I'm not that good at cyber stuff. But I want to say thank you. How are you really encouraging other women out there through work and through pushing through all the chaos?
So I do believe that you have to walk your talk. So everything that I'm talking about, I have walked myself. And my passion has been easing that path for others that follow after me, so that they don't have to suffer 20 years of being, or 25 years of being the only female in rooms and rooms and rooms of just male dominated. So, but it does take courage and confidence in yourself that you slowly build up over time. So I know when I look at people like Tony Robbins or Oprah Winfrey, I'm like, oh, they must have, I don't feel like this, but I know other people like, oh, they must have had it easy. And sometimes people look at me like, oh, she must have had it easy. I'm like, well, it's easy to think that way sometimes because it's your own fears, but you have to go through some pain in life, in my opinion, to actually propel you to move forward. Pain. Now, I didn't say suffering. Suffering is optional. I've gone through lots of childhood trauma myself, and I went through that pain, but I didn't allow myself to suffer. Like, I could have spent the rest of my life playing woe is me, look at the life I had. I could have had better parents, or I could have done this better, or I could have been in a much better situation.
Poor you.
Yeah, and where would I have been? Probably nowhere.
Not chatting today, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, not here today. So I would just, encourage girls, especially, and also women, to use the chaos, use the trauma, use the pain that they might have gone through in life. And if they haven't, that's fine too. I'm not saying you have to go through pain, but use anything that you might feel is negative that's happening. It's happening for you. So it's happening for you. Life is preparing you for something that's going to happen in the future. So take it in, look at what lessons you can learn in the moment, in that situation. There's always a lesson and there's always a gift. And sometimes I think that's all you need to get through that difficult situation. Because if you keep thinking of it as like, oh, why is this happening? Oh, this sucks. Like, I wish that person would just change, or I wish the situation would change. Then you're really not going to go anywhere. But if you think like, okay, I heard that there's always a gift in a situation. What is the gift? Maybe it's not obvious in the moment. When I was given 6 weeks to live after my third baby was born because of the OB messed everything up. Yeah, I didn't really see the gift.
You're like, are you sure there's somebody up there? Like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah.
I was like, yep, not seeing it.
I need help. Somebody give me some. Where's the light at the end of this tunnel?
Yeah, and sometimes you just have to believe in that. Like, there is a gift, and I will find it someday, and which I did. But just believing in that this is happening for me, it's preparing me for something even bigger than what I can even imagine. It might not have to be. Some people are like, oh my gosh, there's something worse than this is going to happen. It might not be a bad thing that's preparing you for. But it might be something there's always a breakdown before a breakthrough. So if you're having a massive breakdown, almost be glad for it. Like, yes, that means there's a massive breakthrough coming.
So, look on the bright side.
go. I mean, trust me, I'm going through one right now, and it's not always so easy, but it's all in the mindset. So it's how you think. If I think of it as a breakdown and like, woe is me, then that's what's going to happen. Woe is me. But if I'm like, okay, it's happening for a reason. There is a gift in this. I just have to find out what that is. I have to learn my lesson. And then, I know there's a big breakthrough coming. And the same thing with the ocean too, right? Like when there's like always a huge storm. And then what happens after the storm? Then like you have like a tranquil water, like so serene and peaceful. But you have to have that storm first before you can get to that.
You can reach out to Jothi at jothidugar.com. That's JOTHIDUGAR.com. You can join her on her Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/transform-chaos. That's facebook.com/groups/transform-chaos. Jothi, thank you so much for joining us today. I will go reevaluate my life after this. Thank you, and I'll make sure to remember all the techniques that you've taught me today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm really honored to be here today.
So that's a wrap on another episode of the Brand Ambassador Select podcast. I'm your host, Lenore. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss one. More at brandambassadorselect.com, and we will see you next time.